The nonprofits in our area don't just stay huddled. They want to expand what they have and really work with the resources that are out there, whether they come from another nonprofit or another source. So we give them that opportunity. So not only are we awarding funds, but we're giving them visibility.
Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. Our purpose and passion is to highlight a nonprofit organization in each episode, giving that organization an opportunity to tell their story in their words to better inform and educate the respective communities they serve, as well as provide one more tool for them to share their message to constituents and donors. Hi, I'm Jeff Holden, Principal of Multipoint Content Strategies and Hear Me Now Studio. We provide this forum pro bono to help build stronger communities through shared voices and to both encourage and support the growth of local nonprofit organizations through podcasting. When does 30 equal 100? Or better yet, 200,000? When my guest on today's program gets involved would be the answer. Volunteering for over 30 years in the local nonprofit sector, Evelyn Jensen heard about an organization called Impact 100 in a conversation with a friend. She was so inspired, so moved on how the organization functioned that she decided to build a Greater Sacramento chapter and is now CEO. Calling on some of the most dynamic women in the region, the organization was formed and awarded the first grants to local nonprofits in 2023, over $200,000 worth. Let's hear what Evelyn has to say about Impact 100. Evelyn, welcome to the Nonprofit Podcasts Network. We're so excited to have you today.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm very excited to always talk about Impact 100 Greater Sacramento.
And that's what I love about you, because I run into you in so many different places. You're always enthusiastic about the organization.
I love what we're doing. I mean, what we're doing is changing the trajectory of the nonprofits in Sacramento.
And let's talk about that. If you could explain to me, what is Impact 100? Where did it come from? And how did it get to Sacramento?
There are 73 chapters worldwide, and there's another 55 in development. Wendy Steele started it in 2001. She wanted women to have a bigger voice in philanthropy. And I have a friend that is a member in Pensacola, our largest chapter. They have 1,146 members. So they award $106,000 grants each year.
Wow.
And she's been telling me about it for years. And finally I said, okay, I would need to sink my teeth into what this is really all about. And basically, it's women coming together, pulling their financial resources, their talents to create something transformational for the nonprofit community. For every 100 women who donate at least $1,000, that's a $100,000 grant, right? So it's the power of collective giving. I can walk up to a nonprofit and I can say, here's a check for $1,000. And they're going to say, thank you very much. Or we can walk up to a nonprofit and say, here's a check for $100,000. Dream. That's what it's all about.
And much more than a thank you. You just funded the organization for another year.
We gave them the opportunity to do a project or fund their proposal that they would not be able to do normally.
We'll talk about that in a little bit when we get to the grant part of it. Tell me a little bit about yourself. You've been in the nonprofit space for over 30 years here in Sacramento and retired, and kind of retired because you're doing this now.
Yes. I tried to retire 3 times. It never worked. I was brought up in a philanthropic family. My father and my mother both taught me that you give back to the community, either with your time or your money or both. And so my parents both did that, and it was instilled in me. So I've always been involved in the nonprofit community as a volunteer, never taking a paycheck for as long as I've lived in Sacramento.
Tell me a little bit more about the organization itself now. It's made up of women who become members. Mm-hmm. They contribute their $1,000. Mm-hmm. And then what are the processes? I'm assuming you have a board that's separate from the people who fund the organization. Walk us through that.
Okay, so this organization allows you to be as active as you want. It's a create your own experience organization. So you can write the check and a lot of our members do this, write the check and walk away. I encourage them to at least vote or attend some of the events. However, they don't have to do anything. If you want to get involved, which I encourage because I always like to have a voice when my money goes, if I can, you can join one of our focus groups. So health and wellness, education, arts and culture, family, environment. So those 5 focus groups are where the nonprofits apply. And those teams read the applications and vet them and ultimately narrow them down, site visits, financial review, narrow down to 1. And then we come together as a membership, which we did in October, and vote on who's going to be awarded the $100,000 grants. The amount of money is determined by the amount of members we have. So our first year, our goal was 100 members. We got 217.
Which is incredible to think for your first year, which was this year.
It was. So we awarded 2 $100,000 grants and 3 $6,000 grants. And now we start the process all over again. And we're inviting women to join us until February 29th, which is when our membership closes for 2024.
And if I'm not mistaken, from what I understand on the website, each member has a vote.
1 vote, yes.
So if you have $1,000 members, you have 200 votes toward that particular nonprofit in its application.
Correct. If everyone chooses to vote.
Oh, some don't.
Some don't. Some just, as I said, write the check and they are not interested in stirring the boat.
They're really that not interested.
Correct.
Wow.
Yes. There are a lot of women who just love what we're doing and they want to help fund these transformational grants. I do encourage them to vote because we do have executive summaries that we put on our website that we send out to our members prior to the voting process so that those who aren't attending the event can read them and vote. But we do encourage all the women to come to the event and actually listen to the nonprofits speak because they talk about their proposals. What we're funding are the proposals that our teams read.
Let me ask you something. If you were to repeat the 5 focus categories, and by focus categories, those are the categories that the organizations serve.
Correct.
And it's just those 5. So if you're out of the 5, you don't apply, there's not an opportunity for you. Is there, once you restate those for us, tell us if there's any difference in what you see. Is there an overabundance of one or the other?
The 5 are health and wellness, education, arts and culture, family, environment. So if you think about those 5 and you think about the nonprofit in our area, Sacramento, Yolo, Placer, and El Dorado counties, pretty much every nonprofit fits into one of those categories. There are some eligibility requirements on our website, but we tried to keep those minimal because we really want this to be an open grant system. Most grants that are large in our area or in any area are very specific. They're very targeted. We've opened it up and said, you're a nonprofit, you're a 501c3, you've been around for 3 years at least. Hey, tell us what you're thinking. We'll take a look at it.
And do you see in any of those 42 applications in family and 6 in education? Or is there some place that it really overwhelms?
There are categories that do receive more applications than others, but we tell the nonprofits that they can choose which focus group they want to apply under. For instance, FEA applied. You would think that they would apply under environment. Did they? Or did they apply under a different one?
FEA, Nature Center Conservation.
Right. So hypothetically, if you have, and I'm just doing a hypothetical there. So they get to choose where they want to go.
Okay.
So we'll never know. Every year it's going to be different. I am not answering your question directly, only because every year it's going to be a different mix because the nonprofits may say, well, my proposal has to do with education, but I am in more of an environmental organization. Which one do I want to apply under?
And I can see that. I could see where they could be education. In this case, FEL could be education. They could be families
It could
because
be
you bring children to the.
Exactly. So they could apply under education, they could apply under environment, they can apply under family. So there's 3 categories.
Right.
And we're just using them as an example.
And it's going to be interesting over time, since this is your first year of awarding grants, over 3, 4, 5 years,
Right.
as the economy changes, as just the general environment for nonprofits changes, what does it look like, and what do you start to see as nuances or differences, or maybe nothing, maybe stays the same?
It'll be interesting to see. I think with the shift in the economy, nonprofits are going to need us even more. So we're going to need more women to join us so that we can award even more funds. I mean, that's bottom line what it is. It's the power of collective giving, right? So the more women who join, the more money we can award.
In this first year, can you walk us through the recipients of the awards that you saw, and maybe even some outstanding applications that maybe didn't quite get it, but still were really, really well done? What is it that you look for? What did your voting membership say, this is what we see as worthy and worthwhile?
We had, as I said, two $100,000 grants. So NorCal School of the Arts received $100,000 and River City Food Bank received $100,000. So NorCal School of the Arts goes into Title I schools, and they work with students on how to better deal with anxiety, bullying, depression. And so we funded 50 classrooms for 10-week sessions on how to better deal with these challenges. Because as we know, even since COVID, it's increased. And then River City Food Bank, you would think that this is a very large organization. It's very tiny. It's small. They're very compact. So they have a refrigerator that only holds 6 pallets, and you can't drive a pallet jack in there because of the angle. We're funding them to put a path in the dirt. We're going to open up an entire wall and put a large door in there, and then we're going to put a refrigerator in there that holds 18 pallets. And so they'll be able to drive in there. Right now, they store a lot of food off-site, which wastes time and resources. They're going to move their offices out of there, some of them, and they're going to put food where it should be, directly to the source. And so that's their proposal. So it's a very involved process. We're helping to pay for labor, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what that $100,000 is going to go to. The other 3 recipients were of $6,000 were Sunburst Projects, FEA, Nature Center, as I mentioned earlier, and American River Conservancy. The $100,000 are restricted funds. So they're restricted to the grant proposal. The $6,000 each were unrestricted funds. Does that help?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And what happens in the process of presentation? I'm assuming the nonprofit comes to the group, or whichever group chooses to participate, to view their presentation. It's a live presentation.
Members. So all of our members come to an event. The 5 finalists have 5 minutes to speak. This last year, they could not use props, nothing. They just had to get up there and talk from their heart. And so that night, we voted and online, and we were able to award that night. It was so exciting.
So they literally come up, do their 5 minutes, and before they go home that evening, they know whether or not they've been granted an award.
Yes. And what was so exciting was we sat all of them at one table, and you could see the camaraderie going on. They were cheering each other on. They were also collaborating. How can I work with you? What resources do I have that you need? And we have seen this. We did a mixer at Tri-Counties Bank, and the nonprofits were invited. You could see them working with each other. So the nonprofits in our area don't just stay huddled. They want to expand what they have and really work with the resources that are out there, whether they come from another nonprofit or another source. So we give them that opportunity. So not only are we awarding funds, but we're giving them visibility, because when these focus groups meet, they're learning about X number of nonprofits that they never knew existed.
Right.
I do not read the applications until the site visits because I work so much with the nonprofits. I don't even know they apply until they come up to me and say, I applied for your grant. That's amazing. I love hearing that.
Yeah. And to your point of the collaboration, it's not a zero-sum game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is collaborative. It has to be collaborative. Otherwise, they won't be there in 2 years.
Exactly.
And I see that with your organization now that I understand it a little bit better, because it's not winner takes all,
Mm-hmm.
and they are together. And it's very similar to what we're doing here, shameless plug, is just bringing people together. And same thing, when I'm out, I see people, oh, I just talked with so-and-so from that particular, oh, yeah, do you know about them? No, here, let me connect you guys.
Right.
And it's wonderful to be able to do that in a non-confrontational and collaborative way. And so many of them are receptive.
They're absolutely receptive. They want to know what the other nonprofits are doing. And, oh, you're doing a project that's similar to ours. Can we work together on this?
Yes.
It's great. And so not only do we award them funds, but we give them visibility through the focus groups. We give them visibility through the mixers. We have grant training coming up that we can talk about.
Perfect place to start.
So our grant application opens January 1st, 2024. We've extended the amount of time that it's going to be open. It will close March 31st at 5 p.m. And I hope it's 5 p.m. And during that time in January, we want to offer nonprofits an opportunity to learn how to write a more compelling grant. So a lot of these nonprofits are small, and they have to decide, is this grant something that we feel that we can jump into because we have limited resources of time? We want to teach them how to write a more exciting, compelling grant. As Kim Tucker likes to say, state your case. And so we're going to have 2 sessions, one January 16th from 10 to noon, and one January 24th from 5:30 to 7:30. And they can email us, and if they'd like to attend, any nonprofit can attend. We would like to, of course, have them be applying for our grant, but we want to be a resource where they can maybe improve their technique and not only use it to apply for our grant, but any other grant that's out there.
Yeah, better understanding of what it is they do without the resources.
Exactly.
And for the benefit of those who don't know, Kim Tucker is the executive director for the Impact Foundry.
Exactly. And this is Kim's job. This is what she does. So she sits on our board and she, guides us through. And so we'll be, Serena Paulson, who is our president, will be guiding the nonprofit sessions and teaching the nonprofits some techniques, hopefully, that will help them in the future to write a better grant.
Tell me a little bit about your board. How's your board makeup? How many people are on the board? Is there a requirement as a standard from Impact 100? What's that look like?
We are our own 501c3. So Global, Impact 100 Global, helps us learn more about the process and the format that they use, but we can choose to do whatever we want. So I researched what the other chapters were doing. And by the way, when I did that to begin with, I called probably 10 chapters, and my first question was, would you do this over again? And all of them said, yes, absolutely. So that's why we jumped into it. But our board is made up of women from 30s to 70s. They are women who are CEOs to women who are retired, women who didn't really work outside the house. We have everything in between. So we wanted to make sure we had a variety of voices. I mean, that's so important on your board. The board is very active. When we first
Lucky you.
Yes, when we first recruited this board, I said to each one of them, if you're not going to work, don't come on the board because I'm going to drive you crazy. And I have been so lucky. I've sat on a lot of boards in my life. This board is unique. They work very hard. And we are making a couple changes to the board. We're adding some new faces. So that'll reflect on our website soon after the first of the year. And we're constantly evolving. We're going to have new member orientation. We're not going to say new members. We're going to say member orientation because anyone can attend. And we'll be doing that in February and March so that we make sure that the members who want to be active understand what opportunities are out there. Because not only do we have the focus groups, but we also have a variety of other committees. They can sit on special events. They can sit on scholarships. They can sit on communication, membership. So there's a lot of other opportunities to get involved.
Tell me about the events. You have events, and I know that you have some separate funding from organizations for the events specifically. Mm-hmm. What are the events?
So we have our first event will be mixers. So we do have a mixer in January. It's limited because we have a smaller space to house everyone. So it's limited in size, but we have a variety of mixers throughout the year. And then in April, we're going to have our first big event, and that will be the big reveal. And that's when we announce how many members we have. So we kind of keep it a secret.
Oh.
Right now, I can tell you that we have our first $100,000 grant, and we are moving swiftly to our second.
Wonderful. And this would be your second year in existence in Sacramento.
Correct. But we're moving to our second 100,000, and then come probably mid-January, we'll stop sharing how many members we have, and we will keep it a secret, and we'll announce it at the big reveal because, after all, that's kind of fun.
Right.
And we're also going to announce how many grant applications we have. This past year, we had 128 applications.
Wow. And this was the first year.
Right.
How did you get the information out? How did people know that you existed, that there was going to be this six-figure opportunity for a grant?
We marketed this as hard as we marketed membership because it's equally as important. This is what we're all about, is the nonprofits. So we reached out to a lot of the political folks in Sacramento, and they put it in their newsletter. And we reached out to the foundations, and we reached out to the nonprofits. We asked each of our focus groups to reach out to every nonprofit that they could think of, specifically in their area. We tasked our members with reaching out to all the nonprofits that they're involved with or that they're aware of. And I can tell you that we had something like 300 applications actually open. And a lot of those were people that were just looking to see what we were all about. Mm-hmm. Because, again, that was our first year.
Right.
But when we closed, we had 128 applications.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
And not to mention a bit overwhelming because you have to go through each application with the same interest you would the first to the last.
But what I'm going to say to the nonprofits who are listening, remember, you're divided up among 5 focus groups. So it's not 128 applications. It's 128 divided by those 5 focus groups. So it's not
20
quite
over
as
here, 30 over here.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's not as overwhelming when you think of it that way.
And I didn't mean from the nonprofit side. I meant from the membership side, having to go through it. Yes.
Again, it's not as overwhelming when you look at it that way.
When you break it down into
When you break it down, otherwise you look at that 128 applications, how do we do that? Well, it's divided among those 5.
Well, congratulations on the first year, but I guarantee you're going to have more than 128 on the second, and you may have 300, 400, 500 by the third or fourth year.
We'll see how that rolls, won't we? And again, hopefully we'll grow so that we have more women involved.
Yes. Would be the expectation both ways.
Hopefully.
I can see that on both sides.
Exactly.
You have an incredible group of women involved already from civic leadership, social leadership, community business leadership. What does the makeup of the Impact 100s around the country look like? Are they similar in terms of the complexity of the people involved?
I would think so. I think that you're missing a very important category, and that would be women who just care about their community.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So not only are they the CEOs or the people who work in the community in non-management, management, but the women who really say, you know what, this community has been really good to me and I want to give back.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great opportunity for me to do that.
And some camaraderie too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have met such amazing women through this organization. And granted, when I'm going to these mixers, I am going up to everyone I possibly can and introducing myself and saying, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring about where you live. But there is that opportunity to meet people, especially if you're on a focus group.
I would imagine, because you're going to get in depth and discuss the actual issues of what it is you're looking to, dive into.
You're going to read that application. You're going to do reports on those applications, and you're going to be talking to the women within your group about what applications they read and should these move forward. There is a rubric that was created, just so you know. So when they read the application, they score it based on this rubric, and that's how they're pushed forward.
It makes sense. I figured there would be some qualifications that had to fit the proper boxes.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about the nature of giving in the community. Do you see or do you run into any situations where people say, well, wait a minute, you're competitive to something like the Regional Foundation, or you're competitive to money that we might have gotten from a different source?
Well, I can tell you that the Sacramento Region Community Foundation is amazing. They actually are one of our supporters.
Wonderful to hear.
There are quite a few women who fund their membership through the foundation. So I see them as a partner. I don't ever see us competing against anyone. We are another opportunity for women to have a voice in philanthropy.
What's your outlook for 2024? What do you see? What's the mood, do you think, of the market and the economy? And I know it's early. You're looking at 2024 already. Do you have a sense of what it feels like?
I think that 2024 is going to be a very interesting year. Elections, economy. I think it's a little probably nerve-wracking for nonprofits because of the uncertainty of where we're going. I think that what we're doing is going to become even more important because of those uncertainties. So those opportunities for the nonprofits to have visibility, to improve their game, to possibly be awarded the funds is going to become more important in the next couple years.
Mm-hmm. You not know it by the stock market today. It's insane.
It's insane.
Right?
I know. And again,
and
uncertainty.
That's a plus. That is a plus in some case, because if they close the year out on a high like that, there's some money that is available.
Yes.
So I think that's encouraging. But then again, the uncertainty to next year, what does that all look like with an election year if it's already so big today?
Well, and you brought up the end of the year. This is a great time for women to join us before the end of the year because we are a 501c3. And they can take their tax deduction in 2023 if they are joined by the end of the year. And they can just go on our website, click a button, fill out a little form, and they are now a member of Impact 100 Greater Sacramento.
On the heels of that conversation, I would imagine the same might be for some businesses who might have an interest in underwriting an event. How do they go about doing so?
All they have to do is go on the website, hit contact, and email us that they're interested in underwriting a mixer. We can have it at their location. They can become a sponsor. We are looking for sponsors for the big reveal, which is, as I said, in April.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll also be looking for sponsors for our big event in October, where we listen to the 5 finalists speak and award the funds. So just reach out. We're happy to work with you and to partner with you.
I love the name, The Big Reveal. Every time you say it, I want to do a drum roll. It's like something's happening here. Here it comes.
Maybe we'll use that.
Yeah, that's right. Tell us what the best way to get in touch with you and or the organization is from an interested party, either from becoming member, volunteer, sponsorship.
Well, you can go to our website, impact100greatersacramento.org/membership. and you can go in and become a member, or you can email us at info@impact100greatersacramento.org, and we're happy to talk to you. If you have questions, you can, give us a call. Our number is right on the website. It's important to really think through where your money goes, right? This is just such a great opportunity to not only be philanthropic in the community, but to work with other women, to raise our voices together, and to really make a huge impact on the nonprofit community. Now, another way to help us is not only join at the general membership of $1,000, which, by the way, 100% of that $1,000 goes to the grant. So people are always saying what percentage goes to the grant and what goes to administration. 100% of that $1,000 goes to the grant. Women can come in at a higher dollar amount, 110%, which is an extra $100, or extra impact, which is an extra $250, or even more. And that money will help us pay for our operating expenses, because we do not have a facade, but we do have operating expenses, website, plugins, insurance, all those expenses that you would think that a nonprofit would have. So that's also how we help keep the doors open.
So this is your first year, $217,000 granted to
NorCal School of the Arts and River City Food Bank.
Those are your two large.
The two large. And the $6,000 were FEA Nature Center, Sunburst Projects, and American River Conservancy.
So for any nonprofit that's listening, again, this is a great opportunity, and it's very unique in the way that it's awarded, and it's a significant amount of money, especially on the expectation it will be the same or greater for 2024. Don't miss the opportunity. When is the grant window again?
The grant window is from January 1st, 2024 at 8 a.m. for any of us who are going to be up that early. It closes March 31st, I believe at 5 p.m. And you go to impact100greatersacramento.org/grants to apply.
And I was on the website. It's fairly intuitive. You can find your way around if you need to get to the grants. And you're also working on a grant writing course that'll be coming up next year as well.
Right. So January 16th from 10 until noon, and January 24th from 5:30 to 7:30. Both will be held at Impact Foundry No Relation. And
just a great resource.
Just a great resource.
Thank you, Kim.
And we'll be doing some questions and answers. We'll be talking about how do you stand out? How do you make your application stand out more? What are the do's and don'ts? And one thing, don't wait till the last minute to submit your application. That's the first thing I'm going to say, because if you've got 30 nonprofits trying to hit that send button at the last minute, which is what we saw, some of those applications aren't going to make it in. So my advice, pretend like it closes an hour earlier and submit it then.
How about submit it a month earlier?
I think that people want to take their time and rethink their answers, et cetera. And I respect that, and I get that. But waiting to the last minute in any situation would not be something I recommend.
So I've got the perfect analogy. How many times have we had our Southwest flight? You can only do it 24 hours before.
Exactly.
You watch, and you're sitting at the computer waiting, and it's ticking. And as soon as it hits exact time, 24 hours, you hit it, and you're B36.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that your application does get in. And if there's a clog in the system and it doesn't make it, I would hate to see you put all that work into your application for nothing.
Well, you want to be in the A grouping.
Yeah, you want to submit
Don't
that
want
application.
C.
You want to make sure that application gets in. Like I said, pretend like it closes an hour beforehand and hit the send button then.
So Impact 100, you had 217 members this very first year in Sacramento.
Right.
200 plus next year, maybe
Hopefully.
3.
Well, we'll see what happens.
We don't know, but so here's the question. Does it become Impact 200?
No, it's always Impact 100. because, you look at 100 women, making that $100,000 grant. So like I said, Pensacola, our chapters vary in size. Pensacola it's crazy. 1,146 members.
Which is incredible.
Which is incredible.
They just have to add a zero.
There we go. But you look at some of the chapters, and some have 500, some have 300, some have 135, and they've been around for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're very lucky. Wendy Steele, who's the founder, actually came and visited us this year. And we were very honored to have her here.
Sure.
And she told us that there were only a handful of impacts that started with over 200 members. We weren't the top, but we were very, very close.
Well, congratulations to you on so much that you've done in just this first year, Evelyn.
Thank you.
It's amazing. It's an amazing accomplishment. And to see the benefit immediately into the community already and doing what it's supposed to do. And I'm sure next year we'll be able to hear the effect of that funding from the organizations that received it and see the tangible reality of what occurred.
I'm so glad you brought that up. We will be working very closely with both of the $100,000 recipients. I'm hoping that they will have a voice at the training. And also they will be speaking at our event next year in October and talking about how their funds were used and the impact that it made on their organization. So we actually start funding the grants in January of next year. We don't just write them a check and say, here you go, see you later, bye.
Thank goodness.
There is a very, very extensive contract that they sign. They also give us a payment plan, and then they have to give us justification for that payment plan. We need $25,000 on this date, and this is why. And then we will follow them to make sure that the funds are used for what they are supposed to be used. They are required to give us reports and a schedule of those dates. So it's very extensive. $100,000 is a lot of money, and we want to make sure that it's used for the purpose that it was chosen for.
I like the accountability. I was going to ask that question too, so I'm glad that you did bring it up. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to share what the organization's about, because I hear about it so often from some of the community events that I attend, where more often than not, I see you, and that's how we met as well.
Right.
But it's just wonderful what you're doing, and it's so neat to see that in the first year you were able to accomplish so much.
Yes.
So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much for having me here. I appreciate it, and I love being out in the community, and any opportunity to get out there and talk about Impact 100, I'm happy to do it.
Well, and this is just one more opportunity you've got to digitally get out into the community as well, so you can approach and talk to more people.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Nonprofit Podcast series. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If what you heard moved you, please reach out to that organization and do what you can to help. If you like and appreciate what we're doing to support local nonprofits, please give us a positive review, subscribe, and share. If you're a nonprofit with an interest in participating in an episode, you can reach us at info@multipointstrategies.com. The Nonprofit Podcast Network is a production of Multipoint Content Strategies and is recorded and edited by Hear Me Now Studio.